Welcome back, my fellow collectors. Once again, this week, I've got a set. It's the special mint set coinage struck from 1965 to 1967. And I have them in year sets, where all 5 coins are graded MS67, and then I have 5 sets in MS68. Now, this is exactly the kind of coin that's only for you folks watching, our preferred clients, because they are so rare. These are not the kind of coins you can acquire in quantity. They're so difficult to get in these higher grades. These were special mint set coins. They didn't strike proof coins from 1965 to 1967. Instead, the mint issued what they called special mint sets, which were coins that were not individually handled like proof coins. They were only struck once. The coins were dumped into bins, so they would have marks. They would have soft strikes because they were not struck under higher pressure. And the dies would be used for a much longer period of time before being replaced. So you had a lot of these special mint set coins that were struck from very worn dies. So a lot of these special mint set coins look like regular mint state coins. They were struck in very limited numbers. Here's a chart that shows all the proof coins struck from 1950 to 1964. And then the special mint set coins are from 1965 to 1967. And you can see that 1964, they issued almost 4 million proof sets. But then in 1965, the special mint sets, only 2.3 million. 1966, 2.2 million. And 1967, 1.8 million. Now in 1968, they resumed proof making at the United States Mint. And so the special mint sets were discontinued. Now, take a look at these sets that I have for you today. In MS67, the half dollar, the quarter, the dime, the nickel, and the Lincoln cent, all with my Everest seal, meaning I have reviewed every one to ensure that it is exceptional for the date and grade. These MS67s border on perfection. To get a 1965, a 1966, and then a 1967, all 3 year sets, folks, all 3 year sets in 6-7 condition, that's 15 coins. I've got 38 of these sets, and they're only $479 a set. The 6-8 sets, when it comes to special mint set coins, it's really better to think about these coins more like 6-9s because they're really rarer in 6-8 than the earlier proof coins that just preceded them were in 6-9. For example, that 1965 special mint set Lincoln you're looking at in MS68 red, that is the highest grade ever given to that date. There are no MS69 red SMS 1965 Lincoln cents. That is the highest grade. It's extremely rare. These are all rare in MS68. And I'm going to show you some comps and the price that I have these sets. Again, I only have 5 of these sets in MS68. This is a preferred client spectacular. The sets are only $3,795. And it's also available on the 2-payment option of $1,897.50. Now you get a 6-7 set, you'll get a soft cover version, the 4th edition of the Franklin and Kennedy half dollar book. You get the 6-8 set, you'll get the hardcover limited edition. Now then, let me just show you this one chart real quickly on these coins in MS68 and Proof 68 that I have here. All the coins from 1950 to 1967 in Proof and Special Mint set. The coins from 1950 to 1964 are all the proofs graded in Proof 68. 65 to 67, those are the special mint set coins graded in MS68. Again, there were no proofs struck in 1965 to 67. The special mint set coins were the top of the line. Now, take a look at those Lincoln cents. Of course, the rarest Lincoln cent in Proof 68 is the 1950, only 22 graded. The second rarest is the 1951, only 99 graded. The next rarest, the 1965, only 133 graded. And then the 66, only 427 graded. The 67, only 410 graded. You look at the nickels and the quarters, how rare they are in high-grade 6/8 condition. The 1965 Kennedy compared to the 1964 Kennedy. 28,000 of the 64 Kennedys, only 1,100 of the 65 Kennedys. These special mint set coins, especially in MS-68, are extraordinarily rare. The 6/7s are very rare. Let's look at some comps so you'll appreciate the opportunity I have for you today. These coins took us months and months to assemble. I'm going to show you the MS-67 comps first. The 1965 Lincoln, there's one for $399, but I was able to find one for $175. Now, it's in an ICG holder. ICG isn't rated as highly as NGC or PCGS, but I'm using that comp. I'm using the lower comparable for you when I price this set out. So figure $175 just for that 65 Lincoln. The next coin, 1965 Jefferson in 6/7, $499. That Jefferson is really tough because it's a nickel coin, very hard metal, a larger planchet, and so you get a lot of pitting on those nickels, a lot of high point pitting, so it's hard to get those nickels in high grade. 67 dime, not as tough as the Jefferson, only $93. The next coin, we had the dime, and then we have the quarter, another very tough coin, only $99 for this one, top-rated seller. And finally, we've got a half. I found one for $5.99, and then I found one for $3.50, and that's the comparable I'm using for the purposes of this presentation. Now, just those 5 coins comes to $1,216 just for that 1965 set. $1,216. We get to the 1966 set in 6/7. There's the penny for $650. The nickel, $476. Dime, $41. Here's a 1966 MS-67, $399. 1966 SMS Hab. One of my aspiration holders, $269. That's the comp I use. So those 5 coins for the set in 6/7, just the 1966, came to $1,835. We're over $3,000 just for the 65 and 66. And then the 67 set, there's an SMS Lincoln, 6/7 red, $212, sold in auction. There's one for $400. I'm using the $212 comp, though. There's a nickel, only $46. I couldn't find a SMS dime. We're just going to figure the dime at $80. SMS quarter, $399. And finally, here's a half I was able to find for $59. That comes to $796. So you add all those up, that's around in the neighborhood of $3,800 to $3,900. And I've got these 6/7 sets again for $479. Now finally, we get to the monster 6/8 sets. Again, I have 5 sets in 6/8. That 1965 Lincoln, here's a couple that sold in auction. Here's one that sold for $1,840 in auction. Here's one that sold for $2,990 in auction. For comparison purposes, I took the lower auction record. I took the one for $1,840. We go to the next coin, the nickel. $1,250 for an ICG example. Here's one I found for $1,079. So I'm using that for the comparable, the lower priced coin. The dime, there's no grade on it. I'm going to assume it's a 6/8. It might only be a 6/7, but I've got it at $140, a very low price for a really nice 65 dime. The quarter, tough coin in 6/8, $1,385. And finally, the half. There's one, top-rated seller, $1,950. Those 5 coins come to $6,394 just for the 1965 set in 6/8. And again, I have the entire 3-year set, all 3 years, for only $3,795. We haven't even gotten to the 1966s and 67s yet. Let's do the 1966. $259 sounds like a real fair price. The nickel, $194, very, very fair price. The dime, $150, very fair price. The quarter is really tough, $1,311. Finally, there is a half. I found one for only $339. That's the one we used. All 5 of those dates comes to $2,253. So we're now at around just over $8,500 for those 2-year sets. We're going to now go to the 1967. 6/8 red, $505. That's what it sold in auction for. Here's a nickel, $279. Here's a dime, $80. Here's a quarter, $274. Here's a half, $690. That comes to $1,828. You add all 3 of those years up, auction prices realized, asking prices of other dealers, and selling prices, and it's over $10,000. And again, I've got this set for only $3,795. We have 5 of these sets. This is what the Preferred Client Special is all about, getting something really exquisite, top of the line. These are all Everest certified, meaning I've reviewed every single one of these coins. They have my Everest seal on every one of these, which means that I have personally reviewed the coin and it meets my standards for exceptional eye appeal and quality for the date and grade. Again, I've got 38 of these sets in 6/7, all 3 years in MS67, and I have 5 sets in MS68. So call in, take advantage of this offer while I have them. These are among the toughest years struck after World War II to get in this high-grade condition. The ultimate in eye appeal, quality, and rarity for your numismatic dollar. It doesn't get any better than this. Thanks for watching.